U.S. Marines firing the 155mm M777 Howitzer is a heavily gun from artillery. Then the 120mm heavy mortar. M777 lightweight towed howitzer is a most powerful weapon that can easily fire the artillery gun. When they soldiers under research administration, the assembly was extremely high damage rate for howitzer shell. The artillery is made from self-propelled howitzer. It is envisioned from the M107. If soldiers are responsible for conducting expeditionary from the veteran of U.S. military, place of origin, United Kingdom or UK. The heavy mortar is a heavy gun from 120mm or for 0.7 inches. 120mm mortar is higher damage than the 60mm and 81mm. Heavy mortar are made by the U.S. Marine Corps. The M777 Howitzer is a U.S.-towed 155mm artillery piece in the howitzer class. It is used by the ground forces of Australia, Canada, Colombia, India, Saudi Arabia, Ukraine, and the United States. It was first used in combat during the war in Afghanistan. The M777 Howitzer is an artillery gun from live fire exercise. Military soldiers are especially popular location to the bases. If the soldiers firing the M777 Howitzer and the heavy mortar. The Soltam K6 is a 120mm for 0.75 inches mortar that was developed by Soltam Systems of Israel. It is the long-range version of the Soltam K5 and has replaced older systems, such as the 107mm for 0.2 inches M30 in several armies, including the United States Army. The howitzer is live fire exercises in countryside. The soldiers is under partnership with long-range version. Would you like to fire the M777 Howitzer? Is very dangerous. You can hit the target 5 miles away from the far. Distance from 8 kilometers. Impact time is 55 seconds. The howitzer shell is flying rounds. When they soldiers were exposed to training in military base, looking for psychological treatment in laboratory system, heavy mortars are really high damage rate. 120mm heavy mortars are located from the long-range center to the environment. U.S. Marine Infantry is the most military personnel from veteran. The Russian artillery gun is most powerful weapon to eliminate the target. Russian military soldiers are responsible to fire the artillery. This is Russian artillery called vehicle to S7 Pion. Military vehicles are tracked like a tank. Sometimes the soldiers are really in Russia. The artillery is way to eliminate and destroy the targets, so the soldiers are usually takes the power supply and left. Dropping the M777 Howitzer at the air using Lockheed C-130J Super Hercules. The plane is airdropped from the air and in the plane. The parachute is slows falling down objects when jumping out of the plane. The mortar is firing in the distance of 3 miles, is a heavily armed from 120mm. Military soldiers are usual for the artillery and mortar. It carries powerful weapon to fire and shoot the target. The self-propelled howitzer is a branch of ground vehicles from the Army and Marines. Artillery is made from the U.S. Armed Forces. This is 155mm howitzer and 120mm heavy mortar. The mortar strike is designed for the bombardment system that can provide the airstrike from the far or in the air. Howitzer is bigger than the mortar. U.S. military firing the M777 Howitzer and 120mm heavy mortar. It is important weapons that could hold in the ground. U.S. Marines firing the M777 Howitzer Bravo battery in the valley is most powerful way to protect the ally units, destroy the targets, and shooting the buildings. At the distance is for kilometers. 120mm mortar shells are used by the military soldiers that have delivered to them. They will have a mortar ammo for the soldiers, but lived in countryside and outlands, giving the 120mm mortar shells to them and let them fire. Mortar is designed from the experience that have fired to the far distance. Apparently, the soldiers were able to explain them. That would be easier for the live fire exercises, possibly. The people who can survive the war in Russia and Ukraine. The self-propelled howitzer is a heavily armed gun from artillery for the ground vehicles. Inside the SPH is most ridiculous to fire the gun. Soldiers are responsible for neutralizing targets. Grabbing the 155mm howitzer shells and load into the main gun. You can fire the main gun when the howitzer shell is loaded. The 60mm lightweight mortar is in small part mortar from light weapon. It is small explosion goes impact. Then the 81mm mortar is a medium part mortar from secondary weapon. It is medium explosion goes impact. And the 120mm heavy mortar is in high mortar from heavy weapon. It is large explosion goes impact. M777 Howitzer artillery engages Taliban from shooting mountain with direct hit. Military personnel from establishing of neutralizes target.
Yeah, baby!
120mm mortar firing is live fire exercise during the night using IR night vision. Navigates the dark place of environment. It is green color of IR night vision. Can display the tracers and explosions. .120mm heavy mortars and M777 howitzers are firing into the environmental countryside. Is definitely from the same way to protect the ally units and destroy the enemies. The insurance of specialized business from the strategic planning process more than operation. The artillery gun is highest damage rate. U.S. Marine infantry firing the M777 howitzer is South Korea. Is live fire exercises in Valley. In military soldiers under research equipment. U.S. military soldiers are really in Korea. They will have a full ammo for artillery gun. That howitzer is more than 5 miles or 8 kilometers. The howitzer shell is ammo round from canister. It carries a variety of ingredients which you eliminate the targets. U.S. Army and Marines from North America. The M777 howitzer is a heavily gun from artillery. U.S. military in South Korea. Is popular with many different types of soldiers in which you learn how to fire the artillery. That would be easier of specialized maintenance and financial. The artillery gun is made by the U.S. military. It loads the howitzer shells and fire. Infantry is extremely important soldiers that can easily make all the legal, even more than targets to eliminate and destroy. Looking for employment opportunities for the business services company. Regardless of howitzer artillery, it engages to fall. All U.S. military soldiers are responsible for providing power projection to their employees and residents. The 155mm M777 howitzer is a beast. Guys, thank you for watching. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.